Welcome to another video of interestingly randomized. And yeah, since long time I didn't upload anything to this channel. I believe maybe almost. I think that the couple of audience that I had or still have thought that the channel is already dead. Anyway, it's like a route to for me to speak up my mind and to give a thought in the record. I mean, I'm not that large influencer, but at least that's what I can do to give the word. And hopefully we will turn back to the funny stuff, trying to get funny stuff. I mean, the condition is still not that good. It's way better. There's not much striking in Gaza Strip, but it's West Bank still in the inferno. So um, it's not a celebratory thing more than a consoling thing. The reason of the the position of West Bank is devastating, I believe, because of the PLO policy of non-arming the resistance and even fighting the resistance in behalf of IDF. So they took the IDF job, put it in themselves, and try to disarm the arming resistance. And that's to show that the IDF doesn't understand except the the language of power. They don't reason and they don't have any sanity toward or ethics toward um, the others. If they have chance to step on top of you, they will step on top of you in heartbeat. And if you think something other than this, please stop it. Get some help. Um, uh, I don't know what to tell you. So let us be refreshed about what led October 7th to happen in 2023 and what was happening during the war, which is span over 15 months, and what is now. So it was before it was. Let's speak about how to that's happened. First of all, um, we have to understand that Palestine was occupied in 1948, and by that occupation, Zionists declared Israel existence as a state. So basically, the existence of a state it was as a form of occupation. No question asked about that. There are people that outside of that land already feeling that they have property that they got uh, isolated from, and they have the right to existence there. No matter how much that's land as a space, even a 1 square foot, as far as that, I have something there be taken against my will, or my father's will, or my grandfather's will, or my great grandfather's will, then I need that thing. Um, that's the human nature. So The conflict is around 75 years old. But what fueled the flame more in Gaza, specifically in Gaza, was first the blockade of Gaza in 2007. It was as a response of, or not a response, it was a collective punishment. It was, before that, it was 2006, uh, for the first time since long, or maybe since ever, that a transparent election happened to the about the government. I mean, I think presidency and government, or government. I don't really I don't remember exactly what the situation is, but at least it was about the parliament election, and Hamas won in landslide the election, and it was under watch of the Israeli government. So the plan was, maybe these people are so stubborn on us, they act like a thorn in our goals, so maybe we can politically tame them. I had to use these terms, but that's how the politicians look for people. It's not just the enemy, all the people, like 95%, if not more, including the American governments in the continents, in both North and South, most of them, including USA, by the way, I'm not excluding it by anyhow about this rule, they look for their own people as objects, and they either tame them or get rid of them, or they lose the game. That's how simple it is. So let's back to the track. It was 2006, the election. Hamas won the election, and it started to be a conflict between Fatah and Hamas. And at the same time, Israel lost the war in Lebanon at the same year. So, and Hamas didn't yield, didn't soften up toward the the acceptance of what they look it's a treasury to accept. And so in 2007, the blockade is started, and followed that by a year in December 27th, 2008, I believe. It was at 11:25 a.m. where all the children in the street, all the children in the streets, and it's the time between the the morning shift schools and the evening shift schools exchange. At that minute, the strike started. So all the kids in the streets, so they can get any as much as civilian casualties as possible. I don't know. I think that's I broke the grammar. Anyway, so and it spent, I believe, around like 27 days, between 4 and 5 weeks. Uh, between 4 and 5 weeks, or 3 and 4 weeks. Not less than three. I think not more than four, maybe. Actually, no. It was around 3 weeks, because things end before Obama. The war end before Obama get take over. And So the blockade was a factor to fuel up the anger and the persistence of doing something in return to get to get what they call it, a notable reaction. The recurrence of Israeli bombardment started at 2008, but it repeated again and again. It was 2008, 2012, 2014 to 2021. And I believe there was a short period of striking at 2022. So we're talking about four official wars and a conflict in this span. Let's keep in mind all the official wars happened between the invention of Israeli states. So, since the invention of Israeli states until before 2008, it was all six official wars. Was now four official wars between the invented Israeli states and Gaza Strip. So that's how brutal it is, and it was in the span of 14 years, 13 years as official wars, and one more strike. So that's the fifth. So and the expansion of settlement and occupation was also a factor in the West Bank. So Gaza Strip people don't look to themselves as isolated from the Palestinian uh, case, you know. Um, so everything happening in West Bank has kind of attachment to Gaza and vice versa. So and especially when things attach to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So Al-Aqsa Mosque raids was other factor. I remember that was a settler said. I think he wasn't a normal settler. He was like a leading figure in, between the settlers. He had a party. They have chairs in the Knesset, their parliament, and he said that I what's in the meaning of um, we will do whatever we want in the Al-Aqsa, and there is no Arab or Muslim will stop us. They started to get cocky, to get more rude than what they are, and they started to. I think it's called bullying because they were pushing while they expecting no one will be able to hit them back. So it was bullying, and it was cruel way of bullying. And let's put that as main factors, and there is extra factor as political stagnation because there was no serious peace process there. And according to Hamas resources, that they knew before October 7th that after the Jewish holiday season, Israeli government planning on taking a comprehensive attack on the resistance movements bases in Gaza, Hamas and including any other resistance movements working side by side with Hamas. October 7th happened, and it was the focus was on prisoning military personnel. They are the the fat bounty among the any citizen, any other citizens. So talking settlers in the kibbutzs as hostages wasn't mainly in the plan, but it happened in the process. Um, some civilians took prisoners, and then the resistant movements collect them back. So they don't want any what they call it. They wanted to make a clean cut operation. It was there here and there some uh, points out of control, but they are insignificant to the operation in all. And I bet that Hamas leaders never thought that someone will be in the monstrosity as the Israeli government was. I mean, this is the thing. They want to win a war in a brutal way, which is it's utterly useless. That's be proven throughout the history before even the most of the European country be things. Nonetheless, before the invention of Israeli state existence. After Hamas launched a large scale and, and they took the prisoners around 240, maybe more than 240. Israeli responses was um, offensive, massive, and collective at the same time. They look to everyone there in Gaza is not innocent. It deserves to die. Some of them they looked even to the prisoners. It's okay for them to die in the process. Some of them wanted to nuke Gaza, and I believe that there was a ministry said that using nuke bomb is an option, and they relieve him from his duty. But I believe that they relieve him from his duty not for the brutality of what he said to the press, but for the um, that's the admission of having nuke bomb. And there was some rumors. It's rumors, but it's lean to be truth because they have we have the means to put it in the realm of possibility to be truth. That Israel was planning of nuking part of Gaza and then put the blame on uh, a fabricated story of that there is a bomb from Iran in Gaza and they struck it by accident. They launch a regional wide war. That's what Netanyahu was pushing toward since October 8th until the ceasefire, and he keep pushing on it. He keep pushing now in coming back to Gaza in war, in more brutal war. He said, "I don't know how you maxed up, man. You maxed up. You can't get worse than this. You can't reburn the ash. All right. Um, I don't know if you can vaporize the ash, heating ashes until they vaporize. I don't know if that's possible or not physically, but you can't like any fuel the ash. You can't burn the ash and extract more heat from it. So I don't believe that he can get worse, but he threatening or he hoping of making it worse. Like this act, the act of the 15 months war, if it's not an active act of genocide and ethnic cleansing, I don't know what it is. If you think other than this, again, stop it, get some help, um, go see a doctor, meditate, do whatever you can to defrag your mind and process it and organize it again in more straightforward and sane, um, sensible thoughts. In this period in the war, that we all know that the humanitarian crisis was worsening. Hospital overwhelmed, mass displacement, and there is no clean water to drink. People used to boil uh, sewage water and try to filter it as possible as they have with their very simple and basic means, and it drink it, hoping that anything harmful that got killed by the fire heat. Um, or seawater. A lot of infants had to get milk or what rationed, even rationed milk with seawater. Um, no food except what some adventurously brave people had to go to the fields to take whatever crops fragments they have, risking that they got strike because the IDF personnel was ready to shoot in the spot, no matter what the age, who is in the range, um, what the being in the range, even if it's animal. Goats getting be shots, donkeys getting be shots, uh, kids, women's, men with white flags, elders, disabled people, um, most of them unarmed. So the IDF focusing on massing the number of casualties and try to reflect that as a way of winning, while there is no strategically control in the actual resistance. So, and a way of also uh, punishing people that they don't fight the resistance, which is, if we think about it, let's go back in the line before 2006. Okay, 2004, a Rafah massacre happened. Bulldozers, bulldozers and tanks hit hit first the houses and demolish them on their residence. Okay, there was no Hamas control. Uh, the resistance was struggling. Um, Fatah was on control of Gaza in political means, and still there was a very cruel massacre happened. So saying that IDF punishing people, that's Hamas in the charge, is a utterly bullshit. What's happening is in the past they were calling it mauling the grass operation, but in the present, at the last war, that was an active ethnical cleansing. They were heading like, I don't know if you are good or bad at math, but you don't want to be a math genius to compare the amount of bombs falling in Gaza and make a comparison of the TNT power, and you will find out that during this war there was 4 to 5 Nagasaki bomb equivalent of destruction fell to Gaza. All that's by American money, by the way. So if you are from the USA, you pay through your taxes at least $50 to $100. I'm sorry, my friend, if you are from the USA and by any chance hearing this, I don't know what to call it, podcast, then you participated in at least 50 to $100 purely in this war. We don't talk about any deals that's a giving away money and materials that's paid through the taxes that you are paying. Maybe you are not doesn't you don't pay federal tax, but you pay sales tax. So there is a way to get money from your pocket to the IDF. I'm sorry to tell you this, but there is no run away from it. You have to. Also, humanitarian crisis was a very big factor during the war. Ground invasion and intensified conflicts uh, was also part of the war. Despite the fact that even a previous leaders in this structure called invented called Israel state that uh, uh, former leaders were telling advice to not invade Gaza. That's hell on earth for the IDF personnels. It's not a winning war. There will be a big pushback. The casualties and the what they call the economical burden will be overwhelming. Netanyahu basically brushed all these warning off and started to the ground invasion. And since the day one until before ceasing fire by hours, the resistance movement were kicking butts here and there. Israeli government was hitting schools, hospitals, massive lands that's like in guessing and searching. Um, there were casualties in the resistance movement's personnel, that's for sure. But wasn't that like effectively weakening the resistance people? Actually, I believe like at least 80% of the people that weren't with Hamas and the resistance way in Gaza before the war, now they are with they're looking to the arming choice is the only one choice to live in dignity and to be secure and to take their rights back. That's what you do when you created avenging in masses. Well, you cleared avengers in masses as well because you wiped out families from the record. But this is the thing. Those people weren't armed people. These people were, if they saw a tank on the street, they will not attack it. They will just pray for the personnels there to leave them alone and don't cause them harm, or and if they will cause damage to the building, to keep it in minimum. Now there are people, so example of what you did to them, and they will try to invent air defense power enough to put the airplanes you strike by back to where it can't strike clearly, or at least to try to. The ground invasion got launched. Heavy urban warfare was led by increased destruction in infrastructure, hospitals, schools, refugees camps, um, squares of buildings, blocks of buildings. A whole block of residential area was demolished in one pull of wear from a soldier, so-called soldier, because what they are thieves and anyway, and all the accusations that Israeli government gave to Hamas are implanted in the IDF personnel with the proof, actually, not empty words like what Netanyahu saying, but there is a proof. One sixth of women in the IDF uh, admitted in a survey, in a secretive survey, that they they had SH'd, if you catch my draft. Uh, Many of them admitted, around I believe like 6% or 3% admitted that they got SH'd in regular basis. Some of them admitted to be grabbed several times. The temporary ceasefire followed the invasion. People thought maybe in late November that usually the Israeli wars don't hold long. And several hostages were released, and the hostages were appreciative of the humanitarian way they've been treated during the imprisonment time. Of course, Israeli call them hostages, but resistant movements insist of calling them prisoners. They are war prisoners. They got imprisoned for political purpose. They are not hostages. They are prisoners because you kidnapped people from our people and you call them prisoners. So if you want to call us kidnappers, you are the first kidnappers, basically. Um, so put everything in one scale. If you want to call us terrorists, call yourself as you call us because you're doing way worse than what we do. That's how the resistance movement's mentality, that we don't like names to be cherry picked based on who is doing it the act. It's okay to disagree what the act be called, but we need to agree that the act has a name, no matter who is doing it. So temporary ceasefire was a golden chance to list the losses, but unfortunately bombardment has resumed after the temporary ceasefire, and the situation got worse in 2024. That number is so huge. We're talking about 1% of people already being killed at the early of 2024 since the conflict or the war started. Famine risk increased. International pressure was utterly useless toward the deaf ears of the IDFs and the Israeli governments. The regional tension escalated. Now, Hezbollah was in the like exchanged fires in the Israel nights, but with the engagement rules. Like there is a few kilometers from each side that's striking and striking back. Uh, Houthis in Yemen had a different plan. All right, what we will do? There is ships going to the Israeli benefit while Israel refused to let Gaza be supplied, not them supply, but let it pass through for Gaza. Not even in the Egyptian border, whereas even at that area, like that I mean, Netanyahu bullshitting, saying that it was Sisi's fault. Sisi has blame on it, that's for sure. But when some active trying to get anywhere from the Palestinian near the Rafah border point, Israel was striking. So saying Israel has no hand to it is other utterly bullshit. And Iran and Israel tension increased as well. And this is the thing. It's not like Iran necessarily looking good toward the benefit of the Arab people in the region. But you weaken yourself by a useless war that hitting and depleting your resources on civilians, mostly on children and women, and your soldiers not that like they are so shabby in the war things, you know. Some of them like none of their life engaged in active and real war. And you put them in with people that I wasn't exaggerated when I said in the first video that these people combining the toughness and the resilience of Taliban with the genius and ingenuity of NASA mind. They are the best in the reverse mechanism, by the way. So they don't take just some. Let's say they didn't take just some Tafur's machine guns, and they have some Tafur's machine guns now. No, they have actually. When you give them the piece, you give them the blueprint. Now they are working, I bet you, now they are working about how to make their own copy, upgraded copy nonetheless, on the Tafur and how to make it more efficient, more accurate, and more tactically complex. That's the mind of the people that the idea of the Israeli government were persist of getting the war with. The current developments, there is another ceasefire, uh, protest pushing on Netanyahu to not go back to war, at least until the prisoners came back. The humanitarian impact was big, and the International Court of Justice condemned Netanyahu, Gallants, and other figures. And Trump, again, trying to act like the god of the new world order, trying to, not trying, he actually actively, thinking actively, punishing the Court of Justice. Now, um, he working toward increasing the defragments in the Israeli body structure. And let me explain. UNRWA USAID, um similar organizations in the region are not just ways to spend money, but to also grab some control. And also, other than grab some control, giving the general norm to get something that they are worried of losing it. When you try to take over that, to prevent, how to restructure that, when you try to take out the means of people of surviving and make them that has nothing to lose, they will fight to their death to keep their dignity because that's all they have now. And basically, you take off the painkiller, the emotionally painkiller of the situation. The situation is worsened, but you were giving them painkiller to soothe the pain of the situation. Now you take it out, the reaction will be real. I'm thinking of this man is so cocky. I mean, he thinking of Canada now as the 51th state. Israel the 51th state, by the way. I mean, I know it. She is. It's not your legit child, but she's Israel is the child of USA that get born by a girlfriend of USA. Um, I think a boyfriend of USA, and we know who is the boyfriend. Okay, has a crown on it with some animals. I think has a red and white or red and blue in the family crest. It has the same colors as the American flag. I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you are stupid. I'm sorry to surprise you with this fact. Anyway, what I'm talking about, maybe no one will hear this, but he think that it will be so soothing and easy to take Gaza people and spread them to Jordan and Egypt, so he can make the Gaza Rivera. While he is ignoring, I believe, or his eyes can't see, while the ceasefire. Actually, most of the people who went back to North after the ceasefire, they knew for sure that, not for sure, but like the chance is so slim that they have intact house. And by intact, I mean not totally collapsed. Like has damage, but has a roof, maybe a little bit risky, shaky, but can refuge them from the cold. While some few houses, kept intact, no thugs from the IDF invaded it and peed around the floor, graffiti them, get some graffitis, and cause damages, maybe burning some furniture, stealing other furniture. Some lucky houses wasn't touched; it was dusted, but just dusted. But the highest majority of houses got total destruction. And yet, when you see the sea of people who are walking toward north, you know these people has a point to prove that you can wreck our houses, but we will build it again. I mean, I don't know, I don't know what you expect when you see some man lying on top of the roof of his house, which is basically totally collapsed, the house totally demolished, collapsed, and the roof is like around maybe a meter or 2 meters above the ground. He over that roof, lying on it in the side, and he's saying, "We will build it up again better than what it was." Yeah, have a good luck of making Rivera, Gaza Rivera, Trump. I mean, I know that's it's very slim chance. Elon Musk, which was so much honorable in the beginning of the war, flipped out and he turned to be a jackass out of sudden on maybe some threats, some monies, some promised benefits, because I believe he has a kind of a political position now in the current government. He sold himself cheap. You know, I thought about this man is the most genius billionaire man in the earth. That maybe there is people are smarter than him in the globe, but among the rich people, I thought he's the cream crop. He's the top of the top in the smart specific things. And I was looking to him as an ethical person. Out of sudden, he just sold himself cheap. I mean, if there is a way to send a message, my message to Elon Musk, it will be like, man, you lose the chance to be a legend remembered along the history, and you turned yourself up from that position to a person that will be remembered as a one who sold his principles as soon as he felt the pressure. There is a lot of things that I want to speak about in this video, but I think it will be more than an hour if I will say everything. But anyhow, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please leave a like and write a comment about stuff you want me to speak about and randomized. And hopefully, soon enough, we will turn back to try to do some funny and enjoyable videos, which is basically not videos because there is a background. And then see you all, guys. Peace, which we all we needed. Peace.